Let's answer some of your business dilemmas. I asked over on Instagram what is going on in your business right now, what you might want some outside perspective on, and this is basically going to become like an agony aunt style episode. If you have a dilemma that you would like my insight on, I mean, I'm not saying that I am the fountain of right and wrong in business. Maybe what I share will be helpful. Who knows? But if you have something you want my help on, feel free to pop me a DM over on Instagram or LinkedIn, wherever we're connected online. Just say dilemma for podcast and I can add it to my list for future episodes, because this is quite literally what I do as a job. Is people bring me their businesses, they bring me some kind of challenge or question or goal, and together we get to work out what we might need to do to create change, which I love. I kind of feel like it's being a little investigator, or I don't know, just getting my mitts on a problem and trying to work out what might be wrong. So let me know if you have a dilemma going on that you would like my input on. But without further ado, this is episode number 309. I don't know why it always blows me away that we're just like slowly going up every episode in number, but it feels like just yesterday we were at 300. So there you go. Nearly at another mini milestone in 310. Let's get into some of these dilemmas. I'm going to keep this episode to about 20 minutes. So however many I can do in that time is however many that we are going to get through. If you're tired of wasting hours searching for stockists, events, and press opportunities instead of actually running your business, then the I Do Handmade Hub is for you. From running my own stationery brand, I know just how many hats that you have to wear, and the brilliance of the hub is that it does the legwork for you. Inside, you'll get free UK office stalls and 1,000+ market listings, shops looking for new brands, journalists seeking products to feature, and a supportive community of makers and sellers. Founded by small business expert Becky, who I have personally worked with, the hub is designed to get your product seen with minimal effort. Membership doors have excitingly just opened, so you can head to handmadehub.info. Doors close on the 2nd of April 2025, so if you are tuning in after that date, head to that link and you can add your name in the waitlist to be first in line when they next open. Back to the episode. We've had someone say, I want to diversify outside of one-to-one, but I don't know where to begin. Should I do a course or a membership? So I'm assuming, to kind of help everyone else understand this situation as well, this person is currently delivering a service one-to-one, whatever that might be, and they're looking for that diversification. And I have many thoughts on diversifying a business model, which ultimately I think all come back to the idea for me of just doing things with intention. It can be so tempting, I think, to build this really diverse business model from a place of should, from a place as well of kind of shininess, right? Online, we get to see a lot of other people's businesses. And I think it's very tempting to get kind of overexcited or to feel pressured to have like 1,000,001 things happening within our business models. I actually just had a few days ago, someone said to me like, I'd love to have a business like yours where you've got like, you know, one-to-one and retreats and a podcast and brand partnerships and stationery range and public speaking, whatever else. And I was like, yeah. It's amazing. It's also 9 years in. Like for 3 years, all I did was one-to-one. And then for 2 years after that, all I added in was one course. And I say that example not to say that you have to spend that long just doing one thing at a time, but I guess to encourage people, you don't begin from scratch with diversity in your business model. It's not doable. It's also not sensible. It's not sustainable. You've got to bring things in gently and intentionally, because if something isn't brought into your business model intentionally, it's likely not going to feel like the right fit. It's probably not going to give you the results that you want. So I don't believe there is one way to diversify. I don't believe it's a case of like, oh, okay, you're doing well with one-to-one, now let's bring in a course, or now let's bring in a membership, or now let's bring in digital products. I think it's more a question of like, what do you want into your business model? Like if you imagine that your business is a room, everything that you offer is another thing in that room, right? So at the moment, your one-to-one service is like a thing in that room. What else do you want in the room? And don't answer that question from a place of like, what else could you have in the room? Because that's a very long list. But what actually is interesting to you? Like, are you trying to have something else in the mix that's maybe more scalable? Or do you want something in the mix that feels like it offers more accessibility to your community? Or do you want something in the mix that allows you to increase your visibility? Like, what's your why is the question that I'm trying to ask. Because if you just introduce new offers from a place of you're going to end up with a very busy business model that isn't probably actually effective or meeting your needs. So really carefully ask yourself the question, what do I actually want from my next offering? Like, what is my one-to-one not giving me or others that I want to have from this next thing? and then pick an offering that fits that. And even once you've picked the offering, research. Do not spend months and months and months developing something new before you actually check if it's something that your community wants and needs. Hands up, I did that. In fact, I've probably done that a couple of times in my business. One really obvious example I can think of is when I launched an online shop in 2019. I spent so much time and money and heart kind of building it, and then when I launched it, it flopped for one big reason, which is I hadn't actually checked the concept with the people that were most important, which is my community, my audience, the people that were going to buy it. So research, reflect, set intention, think carefully. Don't sit and wait and delay your action. Still for the messy action here, but yeah, I guess I'm saying don't rush to diversify. Think intentionally about what is the right fit to bring in and why you're bringing in something new. Spoken as someone who has many things going on, but I could talk a lot more on that topic of diversifying a business model. So if that is something you want a full episode on, let me know, because that is a big part of my work with clients, is diversifying a business model intentionally and sustainably. Second dilemma to dive into: my launch isn't giving me the results I want. Should I stop or change something midway through? So this is someone that is midway through launching something, whatever it might be. Not that that's really relevant to know what it is. And they're not quite hitting their results. Now, this is something that I have come across many times before, not just within my own business, but obviously I hear it from clients and from people that I'm helping. And my advice here is always the same. Follow through so that you can actually analyze the results. If you stop a launch halfway through and you've deemed it a failure before you've even finished it, you haven't actually tested that strategy. Sometimes launches are most successful in their last few days. Sometimes something is going to work, but we just haven't given the consistency of action it needs to work. And so if you stop a launch partway through, you're going to end that launch early, obviously, thinking that didn't work. But did it not work because I stopped early, or did it actually not work? So obviously, as long as we're not talking about like months and months and months of continual action, assuming you've maybe got a week or two left, follow through, because if you follow through on the launch, then you can analyze your results much more honestly, and you confidently know whether it was the strategy or not, because you put in the right level of action. So do not quit your launch midway through. Even if it ends up continuing to not work, you will not have made a mistake by carrying on. Because if you carry on, then obviously you can really look for the lessons and the learnings. And the other thing I'd say around making changes midway through a launch is I like to think of making tweaks, but not big changes. So I will absolutely midway through a launch be listening to how I could make things sharper. I'll be listening to the data around what message is resonating with people, around what content is most helping to convert. And I might shift my strategy a bit to go in that direction. But what I won't do is make major changes to like the thing that I'm selling, or like the top level messaging, or the strategy that I'm using to sell with. Because if you like do a complete 180 on your strategy midway through, it's the same thing as giving up midway through. You're then going to get to the end and go, well, I kind of tried two different strategies. So am I, attributing the excess to strategy 1 or strategy 2? Or like, did it not work because of strategy 1 or strategy 2? You see what I'm saying here is kind of the same message through of like, if you've built a strategy, follow through on it, because even if it doesn't work, that's going to give you clarity and learnings. Providing, like I said, there's not like months and months and months left. If it's just a couple of weeks or a few days, keep going. You've got this. I know it's hard, but follow through, because then you can gather the learnings to make your next launch give you the results that you want. I feel like I'm giving long answers here, but I can't not just give all the detail and chat away. The next dilemma. This is one about money, which I know lots of people have questions around in business. Love talking about money in business. They have said, how do you recommend paying myself as a business owner? It's currently very sporadic, but I'd like it to be more structured. A few things come to mind here. First of all, your business and personal finances should be separated. Even if you are a sole trader and legally they do not need to be separated, tell yourself that legally they do, because if they're not separated, you are just making life so hard for yourself, not just in your business, but also in your personal life, okay? You have different financial priorities as a business owner than you do as an individual. So have a separate bank account that your business stuff happens in versus personal. Second thing I'd say is decide for yourself how you want to pay yourself. Now, I personally always recommend paying yourself a set amount in a set way. That for you might look like paying yourself £2,000 on the first of every month, like a more typical payday, or maybe you pay yourself £500 a week, or maybe you pay yourself every 2 weeks. I do not care. I know people that do it a whole manner of different ways, but what's important to me is that you create that kind of rhythm in your business and that structure within your finances where you are paying yourself really regularly. Not only is that great for your business because you're going to get used to paying yourself the amount that you need each month, and you're not ever going to sacrifice your personal pay for kind of other business expenses or growth. It's also going to really help you personally because obviously you're going to have a set amount. You know, I know a lot of people begin, and this was definitely me, paying themselves sporadically each month. You know, maybe on the first of the month we send ourselves £1,000, and then a few weeks later it's another couple hundred, or oh, I need to go to the shops, I send myself some more. And that's just not the best way to be doing it, because ultimately we probably don't always know how much we're paying ourselves each month. And if we don't know what our business needs to be making to pay us, how can we think about our pricing and our sales goals? So work out for yourself, what amount do you want to be paying yourself and how regularly. You might want to start with just whatever number feels doable and then build that habit in your business. If you're not currently used to paying yourself a set amount, you might need to build up some business savings to get that started. Because if you're used to just paying yourself like drips and drabs, you're not necessarily going to have a few thousand sat there each month ready to go. So you might need to think about building up that reserve. I have in my business bank account always 2 months of my future salary saved, and I try and always keep that there. Sometimes I have to use it to pay myself, and then I'll really work in the next month to build it back up, because that really just gives me the assurance that no matter what happens with the rest of my finances, that money is there and it's put aside, and I know that I'm going to be able to pay myself. I know that this shift in how you manage your finances isn't overnight, but I promise you, being more structured in how you pay yourself is just going to make everything feel better. And ultimately, a big motivation behind how hard that you work in your business is what your business does for you financially. So if you don't feel you're getting paid the right amount in the right way, you're not necessarily going to want to run your business for that long. So it's a really key thing to try to figure out. And again, if you want an episode about money, maybe with the new tax year coming around at the start of April, that is something that I will be doing, because money is so key in business. Right, let's pick another one or two dilemmas. We have got one here kind of around mindset. I keep comparing myself to other people in my industry and it's making me doubt everything I'm doing. How do I stop feeling like I'm behind and just focus on my own journey? This is obviously such a tough one, and I'm never going to pretend that this is something that I think we can kind of remove overnight or even necessarily change in the long term. It's a really normal part of our human brain, isn't it, that wants to compare ourselves to other people and work out where we sit in relation to them and observe what other people are doing. And especially because of the business world being so online, you can't really ignore it. If you think about it, it's really bizarre that we always know what's going on with other people's businesses. Or let's be honest, we always know the highs of what's going on with other people's businesses. People are often sharing, I just went and won this award. I've just done this amazing client work. Look how busy my day was. Look how cool this thing is. What they won't be showing you is all of the challenges and issues and, feelings for them behind the scenes, understandably. And we've got to, I think, remember that, right? That what we're seeing is a highlights reel. I often remind myself how often my content is a highlights reel. Even though I'm really committed to sharing my business journey honestly, there are still seasons where I'm not comfortable or able to talk about the challenges. And so I am showing up with a lot of positivity, but behind the scenes, I know that, things are absolutely chaotic. And so it might help you to even remind yourself of your own journey, or remind yourself that maybe people will be in a similar position. I think another piece I'd say to this is something I learned years ago from Lucy Sheridan, who's the comparison coach. She came on this podcast a while back. She talks about this idea of seeing other people as your proof that it's possible, right? It's very easy to look at other people achieving things and think they've done that and now I can't. They've done it, so there's no space for me. But actually, if we really think about it, someone else achieving something that you want is a positive, because it's proof that that is possible. Let me give you a really specific example of this for me. This is quite a personal share. A lot of people that I am friends with in the business space often go to Downing Street. They are posting on social media that they're at 10 Downing Street and they meet with Rachel Reeves and the Prime Minister, and they do all this cool stuff. I sometimes, when I see that, feel really jealous. I think, I wish I always doing that. Why am I not doing that? I'm never going to do that. And then I have to remind myself, Alice, these are business creators like you in 10 Downing Street. They are there, and that proves to you that there is space for you there, that 10 Downing Street is interested in bringing business owners into these conversations. That is proof that it is possible that one day that might be you. And I'm not saying that sometimes I still don't feel that feeling of like, oh, they're doing so well, maybe I'm doing awfully. But it helps me just to remember, hey, other people's achievements are proof it's possible. You know, if you see someone having a really successful launch, fair enough, it might sting a bit that that's not your success, but it's great to go, look at the opportunity that's out there and the success that I can have. So for me, that's a mindset shift that's really important. And I'd also just say, if comparing yourself is really affecting your action, cut off the source. You know, mute people, don't go online, don't look at the things that are triggering that for you, and just stay in your lane. You know, put the blinkers on and just focus on the steps ahead of you. Because also remember, there'll be people looking at your business thinking that same way. You know, we never give ourselves that credit. We just give everyone the credit that's ahead of us, that everyone's ahead of us, but they're not. We're all at different points on our journey. And another final tip I'd share is scroll back on other people's social media channels. You know, look at the people that you admire and remind yourself that they started as well, that they went through those early days, that they pushed through the silence. No one gets to start from success. Everyone pushes through a process of getting there. And even once you're there, a lot of the time it still feels like there's a lot to do. So give yourself some grace, cut off the source if you need to, and remind yourself that other people's success is proof that it's possible, not proof that you can't do it. Okay, I'm going to do my final one, but there's so many more dilemmas here that I want to go through, so I'll definitely do another episode of this, and let me know if you've got a dilemma to add to the list. Let's pick a really practical one. Someone has said, I love my business, but I feel like I'm doing too many things and spreading myself too thin. How do I figure out what to focus on and what to let go of? Brilliant question, and something that I come across a lot and definitely resonate with personally, where it's like I'm very busy, but it's not quite necessarily working. When this happens, you need to check back in with the why behind your business. And the why behind your business is in two parts: the why for you and the why for others. So the why for you is really asking yourself the question, what do you want your business to do for you? What do you want from your business? Financially, in terms of time, in terms of fulfillment, in terms of workload, what do you want? Be selfish, be honest. Don't shy away from what's important to you. Get really clear on that. It might have changed since the last time that you checked in. Then the second thing to ask yourself is that external why. What do you want your business to do for others? What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to be known for? Again, it might have changed since the last time you checked in on those things. We've got to let it be refined if it needs to get clearer. Once you've got that refreshed clarity on the why for you and the why for others, you need to go through your business model with a fine-tooth comb and filter everything through those two lists. If there is something that you are delivering or doing or creating or saying yes to that is in disagreement with any of those whys, it's probably a sign that it needs to go or it needs to change. This is actually a question that's quite kind of close to my heart and my experience recently in my business. I've talked quite a bit about how over the last few months I've been refining and getting rid of things and learning that less is more. And that is the process that I followed. I looked at every part of my business model through that lens of, okay, this might be something that I can do, but is it something that I should do? Because those are two different things. There's a big list of all the things you can do in your business, but there's a much shorter list of that's what you should be doing. And what you should be doing is the things that really align with your personal why, your why for you and your why for others. It's easier said than done, and I'd actually recommend a recent episode that I did on this topic. I think it's 2 or 3 episodes back. I'll link it in the show notes. Actually, maybe more like 4 or 5 episodes back now that I'm thinking about it, but I'll link it below, where I talked about this concept of simplifying your business model, doing less in order to achieve more, and a couple of frameworks to help you make those hard decisions. Because it's really difficult to say no and to get rid of things, but it's saying no that often unlocks effectiveness and impact, and most importantly, sustainability. Because when you're spreading yourself too thin, it's not sustainable. It's probably also not that enjoyable. So we don't want to stay there for a long time. So the key to that is going to be doing less, and doing less through that lens of what makes sense for your internal and your external why. I would love to keep going with these dilemmas, but I probably need to keep this episode to a short and digestible length. So do let me know if this is a format that you have enjoyed. I've got a good few dilemmas here to still dive into in a future episode. And like I said, if you would like to share anything around your business journey, something you're struggling with, something you're trying to work out at the moment, I would love to put my thoughts into the hat for you and maybe give you something to think about and some practical insights around how I might approach that with a client or with my own business. So if you've got a dilemma to share, come and pop me a message wherever we're connected online. That is it for another episode. Please make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you are tuning into this. And I'm going to be back in your ears and on your YouTube screens next Tuesday with a very, very exciting episode. It is birthday related. I know it feels like we just had the birthday of the podcast, but it's a different birthday. It's a birthday a little bit closer to me, I guess you could say. So I'm very excited to share that episode with you, and I hope that you found these dilemmas valuable. Thank you. If you're tired of wasting hours searching for stockists, events, and press opportunities instead of actually running your business, then the I Do Handmade Hub is for you. From running my own stationery brand, I know just how many hats that you have to wear, and the brilliance of the hub is that it does the legwork for you. Inside, you'll get free UK office stalls and 1,000+ market listings, shops looking for new brands, journalists seeking products to feature, and a supportive community of makers and sellers. Founded by small business expert Becky, who I have personally worked with, the hub is designed to get your product seen with minimal effort. Membership doors have excitingly just opened, so you can head to handmadehub.info. Doors close on the 2nd of April 2025, so if you are tuning in after that date, head to that link and you can add your name in the waitlist to be first in line when they next open.